So I'll ask Margaret to introduce one person's story now and tell us a little, introduce Noble. Okay?
Okay, thank you,
Looking
Charles.
forward to this bit.
Right, I'm delighted to introduce Noble, who we've known for a number of years as a volunteer and a user of our services. He's been on a remarkable journey out of homelessness, and so I'd like to hand over to Noble so he can tell you all about it. So Noble, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Margaret, and everybody. My story really began when I first came here when I was about 18 years old, and I came to this country as a student. I studied for maybe 5 years, and in between studying, I was also working. And then from 1981, I took up a job, and I've been working from 1981 to 2005. And then around 2005, I was in a very good job. And then suddenly about March 2005, things just changed around me. Suddenly I could not work. I was told that I could not work. I could not receive any benefits. Everything was cut off from me. And so for the next few months, I managed to rent a place, but I only managed to go maybe for 4 months with the little I'd saved, I put aside. And then effectively, from then on, I became homeless. And but for the first, well, for 9 months, I slept in the woods in Lee Valley. I never slept outside in my life, and I was not prepared with a sleeping bag or anything or any other experience for sleeping in the winter. But I managed to find ways. And food, I was unaware of any day centers, and also at that point, I had not actually declared myself as destitute. So it's very difficult unless you suddenly accept your situation. It is very difficult to know what to do next. But at that time, I just took it that, because the word that came to mind is that I became a tramp, because that's all I knew anyone who was homeless before, because I never met anyone homeless personally. So, and it took me 9 months of sleeping in the woods, and then someone who was also homeless spotted me and took me to one of the day centers in Victoria, and there for the first time I had hot food. I'd not had hot food for at least, maybe 6 months. I mean, everything I ate was cold when I was living in the bush. I used to walk around to find food, to get food. I used to pick change on the street. Any pennies dropped on the street, I picked up. And when I have enough, I'll go buy a tin of beans or a tin of ravioli or anything that was under 20 pence. So for 20 pence, I managed to get myself the day's food. Water, drinking water was quite difficult as well. So sometimes I go for hours without, drinking water. And also in the woods, there was also wild fruit and some apples, pears, which were, for some reason, still good in the winter. And then when I got to the day center in Victoria, I was there for about 3 weeks. And when you register to use them, the first thing they do is you are interviewed for about 30 minutes. And at that point, the only thing I was thinking of is warmth, because this is the first place I was allowed to go in. And I was hungry. I had no money to buy any food. And I was interviewed. It's okay for 3 weeks. And then in the 4th week, went into the center on a Monday morning. I was pulled up for an interview, which I thought was all right. And then the next day, a different person interviewed me as well. And I was interviewed week. And on the Friday, I was interviewed 5 minutes before the center shut. I was told I was no longer welcome to the center, and no reason was given. I was just told, you're no longer welcome, don't come back. So somebody else gave me the address for the Manna Center, and I managed to find my way to the Manna Center. So when I came to the Manna Center, you can imagine I was very nervous. I just kept myself to myself, kept a very low profile because I was worried that this is the second center and the only one I knew. So for a few months, I'll just eat and be quiet because worried that I might get in another interview and somebody might start asking me questions. And so after a while, I realized I became comfortable, and the people were very friendly, they're very welcoming. Nobody bothered you about names. Nobody bothered you about, have you got any national insurance number? Do you work? Do you do that? Mental health? No one asked. So I became, very comfortable. And after a few months, I was actually asked to volunteer, which was a bit of a shock because I wanted to trust myself at the time anyway. So, it was very important because that was the beginning of me trying to manage my mind, because before that, I used to go around, after the center, I chase around for food and all that. And I started to look after myself more. I don't mean the stomach or clothes. I mean, the mind is very important because I had something to do. I took it very seriously like a job. And also the Manna Center took me very seriously because at least, to be trusted by an organization when you've been nobody. And then I was okay, but I've been there I volunteered maybe for 8 years. But last year, 2019, I started fighting with the Home Office, and at the same time, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So I had two things to fight: the Home Office and the prostate cancer. But what made it all easy for me, I went through the prostate, the treatment, because I had very good support from the Manna Center. And the Home Office, I wasn't too worried because health was more important. But nevertheless, I was also comfortable with them because of the support I got from the Manna Center. And, and then I went through the treatment, thank God. I'm through the treatment, and it's all good. And I've got my papers. And then after that, the Manna Center also was assisting me to find accommodation, which I was in temporary accommodation for at least a year and a half, but now I'm in permanent accommodation and fit and healthy. Thank you very much, everybody. I still have my mind because of you. I'm not in a mental hospital because of you. I'm alive because of you. So without that, I don't know. Probably won't be here talking to you. Thank you very much.
No, well, that was fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us, and I think it just reinforces the great work, and also that the Manna Centre is not there just for 5 minutes. It's been there for years for people, and I'm really pleased to hear that. But you've been a volunteer there as well. So you're part of this. You're part of you're part of us, really.
Well, they're still here for me now because all these years, 15 years, it's a long time. You think you're up to date, but even today, there's things which 15 years ago, I would have done by myself. You know, so the Manna Center still helps. I'm still there. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you, Noble. Thanks for sharing it. That's really, it brings it home what we're trying to do here, at least. We're trying to be for people.